The summer Lena turned 26, she came back to the farm with a 5-year plan and a nervous system that sounded like it had swallowed a hive. She had not meant to stay. The return was supposed to be temporary, 3 weeks max, just long enough to help her father after his shoulder surgery and to remind herself why she had left in the first place. She had built a life in the city, made of project management software, sleek coffee shops, and people who spoke in phrases like strategic leverage and future scalability. It wasn't that she loved it, it was that it gave her the feeling of control. And control, to Lena, had always felt like oxygen. The farm did not care about control. The first morning back, a storm split the sky before sunrise and pushed sideways rain through the pasture fences. By noon, the lower field was mud. A gate had come loose, and a stubborn calf had somehow found a way into the equipment shed. The tomato rows she remembered as orderly had grown wild around the edges. The barn roof still leaked in one corner. Her father, in a sling, gave instructions from a porch chair with the patience of a man who knew weather never took notes from human plans. Lena, soaked and sweating and furious by 10:15 a.m., felt the old pressure rise. If I don't hold everything together, it all slips. If I don't force the outcome, nothing good happens. If I let go, life will become chaos. That afternoon, after losing a boot in the mud and nearly crying over a broken irrigation line, she stomped to the far fence line and found her grandmother Ruth sitting on an overturned feed bucket, shelling peas into a metal bowl as if the whole world were not currently resisting human effort. "You look like you're trying to arm wrestle the earth," Ruth said without looking up. Lena dropped onto the grass. "I'm trying to keep things from falling apart." Ruth smiled faintly. "That's ambitious." Lena didn't laugh. For a minute, only wind and pea shells moved between them. Then Ruth said, "You know what young people always get wrong about farms?" Lena wiped mud from her arm. "What?" "They think the skill is management." Ruth tipped a handful of peas into the bowl. "The real skill is surrender." Lena frowned. "That sounds irresponsible." "No," Ruth said. "It sounds like trust. You work, yes. You rise early, mend fences, plant carefully, watch the sky, feed what's hungry, repair what you can. But if you think life comes from you, you'll go mad out here. Rain isn't yours. Growth isn't yours. Breath isn't yours. Timing isn't yours. Fruit isn't yours. Life is from God. The moment you remember that, your soul stops trying to be lord of things it was never built to carry." That sentence followed Lena for days. Life is from God. She began noticing how the farm itself preached it. Seeds split underground in silence. Sunflowers turned without anxiety. Chickens scratched and found what they needed. A creek kept moving around stones instead of arguing with them. Even the broken things were not frantic. Everything alive seemed to know how to receive. One evening, after helping her father stack hay under a sky washed gold, Lena stood in the field and did something she had not done in years. She stopped strategizing. The warm wind moved through the grass. Swallows cut dark shapes across the light. Somewhere behind the barn, her father laughed at something the neighbor said. And Lena whispered, almost shyly, "God, if life is really from you, then I surrender my version of how it must go. Teach me how to trust." It was not dramatic. No thunder, no voice from heaven. But from that day forward, something in her posture changed. She started moving through chores with a different center, thanking God for strength, asking for wisdom, receiving interruptions as part of the lesson instead of proof of failure. She stopped treating surrender like passivity and discovered it was actually alignment. The more she trusted, the clearer things became. Decisions that had felt tangled began to simplify. Relationships softened. Her body relaxed. Her mind quit forecasting disaster every 10 minutes. Most surprising of all, the life she had been trying to architect through sheer will began to open in ways she could not have planned. Not smaller, better. She saw that living from the Spirit of Christ, moment by moment, in surrendered trust, is the essential foundation that brings all of life into right order. By the time she left the farm at summer's end, Lena's 5-year plan looked less impressive than it had in June, and far less important. Because she had learned the single greatest skill for receiving her best possible life. Not mastering outcomes, but recognizing the source of life as God Himself, and trusting Him enough to let His will carry her farther than she ever could imagine. And for the first time, that did not feel like loss. It felt like freedom.